Lewis Hamilton thought he had everything. 7 Formula One World Championships. Fame beyond measure. More money than he could spend in 10 lifetimes. But standing on the Silverstone podium in July 2024, holding his first victory trophy in 3 years, Lewis felt empty inside. Then he saw her. Maya Chen stood in the crowd wearing a simple blue dress, looking older but still beautiful. The woman who broke his heart 10 years ago. The woman who left him without saying goodbye. The woman he thought he would never see again. Their eyes met across 50 feet of cheering fans, and time stopped. Maya's face went pale. She grabbed her friend's arm and tried to run away, just like she did before. But this time, Lewis wasn't going to let her disappear. He handed his trophy to his stunt team and jumped down from the podium. Security tried to stop him, but Lewis pushed through the crowd of photographers and reporters. He was going after the woman who got away. And what he would discover about their past and their future would shock the entire world. The roar of 140,000 fans filled the air at Silverstone Circuit. Lewis Hamilton stood on the top step of the podium, holding the British Grand Prix trophy high above his head. Tears of joy ran down his face as he looked out at the sea of Union Jack flags waving in the summer breeze. "I can't believe it," Lewis whispered to himself. After 3 long years without a win, he had finally done it. At 39 years old, many people said he was too old to race. They said his best days were behind him. But today, on July 14th, 2024, Lewis proved them all wrong. The crowd sang, "God Save the King," as the British flag rose slowly up the pole. Lewis put his hand over his heart and sang along. This was home. This was where his Formula One journey began. 27 years ago, when he was just 12 years old, racing go-karts on small tracks around England. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2024 British Grand Prix winner, Lewis Hamilton, the announcer shouted over the loudspeaker. Lewis raised the trophy again and smiled his biggest smile. Camera flashes went off like fireworks all around him. He could see his team jumping up and down in the pit lane below. His trainer Angela Cullen was crying happy tears. Even his tough team boss was smiling. But as Lewis looked out at the crowd, something caught his eye. In the VIP section, about 50 feet away, stood a woman in a simple blue dress. She had short black hair and was clapping politely. She looked older than when he last saw her, but those dark brown eyes were exactly the same. Lewis's heart stopped beating for a moment. The trophy suddenly felt heavy in his hands. The crowd noise became a distant hum. Everything else disappeared except for that one face in the crowd, Maya Chen, his first love. The woman who broke his heart 10 years ago. The woman who left him without saying goodbye. The woman he thought he would never see again. Maya was standing next to a tall woman with red hair who was cheering loudly and holding a Mercedes flag. Maya looked uncomfortable, like she didn't want to be there. She kept checking her phone and looking toward the exits. Lewis tried to focus on the celebration around him. The other drivers on the podium were spraying champagne and laughing. He was supposed to be happy. This was his moment. But all he could think about was Maya. Why was she here? She hated racing. She said it was too dangerous, too loud, too crazy. She never came to races when they were together. She said she couldn't watch him risk his life for a sport. Maya looked up at the podium and their eyes met across the crowd. Time seemed to stop. Lewis saw her face turn pale. She grabbed her friend's arm and pointed toward the exit. She was trying to leave, just like she did 10 years ago. Lewis's mind raced back to that terrible night in 2014. He had just won his 2nd world championship. He came home to their small apartment in London, ready to celebrate with the woman he loved. But Maya was packing her bags. She had tears in her eyes and a letter in her hand. "I got into the program," she had said quietly. "The heart surgery program in New York. It's everything I've ever wanted." Lewis had been angry. He didn't understand why she had to leave. Why couldn't she be happy for his success? Why couldn't she support his dreams the way he supported hers? "So you're just going to leave?" he had asked. "What about us? What about our future?" "You have your future," Maya had replied. "Racing is your life. It always has been. I need to have my own life too." They had fought that night. Lewis said things he didn't mean. Maya said things that cut deep into his heart. The next morning, she was gone. She left only a short note that said she would always love him, but they wanted different things from life. Lewis never tried to find her. His pride wouldn't let him. He threw himself into racing even harder. He won more championships, broke more records, became even more famous. But there was always an empty space in his heart where Maya used to be. Now, 10 years later, she was here at Silverstone, and she was trying to run away again. Not this time. Lewis handed his trophy to his race engineer without saying a word. The man looked confused, but Lewis was already moving. He jumped down from the podium, ignoring the security guards who tried to stop him. "Lewis, where are you going?" his team manager shouted. "You have interviews to do." Lewis didn't answer. He pushed through the crowd of photographers and reporters. Camera flashes went off in his face. Microphones were shoved toward him, but he kept walking. "Lewis, how does it feel to win again?" a reporter called out. "Lewis, what's your secret?" another one shouted. Lewis ignored them all. He had more important things to do than talk to reporters. He had to get to Maya before she disappeared from his life again. That he ran through the paddock, past the team motorhomes and sponsor displays. His racing suit was still damp with sweat and champagne. His legs felt tired from the 2-hour race, but he kept running. Security guards tried to follow him, but Lewis knew Silverstone better than anyone. He had been coming here since he was a teenager. He knew every shortcut, every back entrance, every way to avoid the crowds. That he reached the VIP parking lot just as Maya and her friend were getting into a silver BMW. Maya was in the passenger seat, looking down at her phone. She looked older than he remembered, but still beautiful. Still the same woman he had fallen in love with all those years ago. Lewis ran to the car and knocked on the window. Maya looked up and gasped. Her friend, who was driving, looked confused and a little scared. "Maya," Lewis said, his voice muffled by the glass. "Please, don't run away again." Maya stared at him for a long moment. Her eyes were wide with shock. She said something to her friend, who nodded and turned off the car. Slowly, Maya opened the car door and stepped out. She was wearing a simple blue dress and flat shoes. No makeup, no jewelry, no fancy clothes. She looked like the same Maya he had known before fame and money changed everything. "Hello, Lewis," she said quietly. Her voice was exactly the same as he remembered. "Hello, Maya," he replied. His heart was beating so fast he thought it might explode. They stood there in the parking lot, looking at each other. Around them, people were leaving the racetrack, talking and laughing about the exciting race they had just seen. But Lewis and Maya were in their own world, a world where 10 years had disappeared in an instant. "I saw you win," Maya said finally. "Congratulations." "Thank you," Lewis said. I can't believe you're here. You hate racing." Maya looked down at her feet. "Sarah loves it," she said, nodding toward her friend who was still sitting in the car. "She's been asking me to come to a race for years. I finally said yes." "I'm glad you did," Lewis said. Maya looked back up at him. "Are you?" Lewis nodded. "I've thought about you every day for 10 years. Maya's eyes filled with tears. "Lewis, don't what? Don't tell you the truth? Don't tell you that leaving you was the biggest mistake of my life." "You didn't leave me," Maya said. "I left you, remember? But I let you go," Lewis said. "I should have fought for you. I should have come after you." Maya wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. "It wouldn't have mattered. We were too different. We wanted different things." "Maybe we were different then," Lewis said. "But we're not the same people we were 10 years ago. I'm not the same person." Maya looked at him carefully. She could see the lines around his eyes, the gray hair starting to show at his temples. He looked older, more serious, but his eyes were the same, kind and gentle and full of love. "I have to go," Maya said suddenly. "Sarah is waiting. We have a flight to catch." "Where are you going?" Lewis asked. "Back to New York. Back to my life." Lewis felt panic rising in his chest. She was leaving again. He was going to lose her again. "Maya, please. Can we talk? Really talk? Just for a few minutes." Maya looked at her friend, who was checking her watch. Then she looked back at Lewis. She could see the desperation in his eyes. The same desperation she had felt 10 years ago, when she left London. "5 minutes," she said finally. "But then I really have to go." Lewis nodded gratefully. "Thank you." Maya walked over to the car and said something to her friend. Sarah looked surprised but nodded. She got out of the car and walked toward the track entrance, giving them privacy. Lewis and Maya stood alone in the parking lot. The sun was starting to set, painting the sky orange and pink. In the distance, they could hear the sounds of the racetrack being cleaned up after the big day. "You look good," Lewis said. "Happy." "I am happy," Maya said. I love my work. I save lives every day. I have a good life in New York. I'm glad, Lewis said, and he meant it. I always knew you would become an amazing doctor. Maya smiled for the first time since he had seen her. And I always knew you would keep winning races. Not lately, Lewis said with a laugh. Today was my first win in 3 years. People are saying I'm too old. You're not old, Maya said. You're just experienced. They both laughed. It felt good to laugh together again. It felt like old times. Maya, Lewis said, his voice becoming serious again. I need to ask you something. Maya tensed up. What? Why did you really leave? I mean, I know about the program in New York, but was that the only reason? Maya looked away. Lewis, that was a long time ago. But it still matters. It still hurts. Maya was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was barely above a whisper. I left because I was scared. Scared of what? Scared of losing myself. Scared of becoming just Lewis Hamilton's girlfriend instead of Maya Chun, the doctor. Scared of giving up my dreams for yours. Lewis felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. I never asked you to give up your dreams. You didn't have to ask, Maya said. Your life was so big, so exciting. My life felt small next to it. I felt like I was disappearing. Lewis understood now. He had been so focused on his own success that he hadn't seen how hard it was for Maya. He hadn't seen that she was struggling too. I'm sorry, he said. I'm so sorry, Maya. I should have been more supportive. I should have made you feel important. You did make me feel important, Maya said. That's not why I left. Then what? Maya looked at him with tears in her eyes. Because I knew that if I stayed, I would never be strong enough to leave. And I needed to leave. I needed to become the person I was meant to be. Lewis felt his heart breaking all over again. And did you? Did you become the person you were meant to be? Maya nodded. I think so. I'm one of the best heart surgeons in New York. I've saved hundreds of lives. I've written research papers that have helped other doctors. I've done things I never thought I could do. I'm proud of you, Lewis said. Are you really? Yes, I'm proud of you. And I'm sorry it took me 10 years to tell you that. Maya started crying again. Lewis, I can't do this. I can't go back to that place. It hurt too much the first time. I'm not asking you to go back, Lewis said. I'm asking you to move forward. With me. Maya shook her head. It's been 10 years. We're different people now. Maybe that's a good thing, Lewis said. Maybe we're better people now. Maybe we're ready for something we weren't ready for before. Maya looked at him for a long moment. She could see the sincerity in his eyes. She could see how much he had changed. But she was scared. She had built a good life for herself in New York. She had stability, success, respect. She wasn't sure. She wanted to risk it all for a man who had already broken her heart once. I have to go, she said again. My flight leaves in 2 hours. Lewis nodded sadly. I understand. Maya started to walk away, then turned back. Lewis, yes, I'm glad. You won today. You deserved it. Lewis watched her walk away, just like he had 10 years ago. But this time, he wasn't going to let pride keep him from fighting for what he wanted. As Maya reached her friend and they started walking toward the terminal, Lewis called out to her. Maya. She turned around. This isn't over, he said. I'm going to find you. I'm going to prove to you that we can have a different ending this time. Maya looked at him with surprise. Then, for just a moment, she smiled. It was a small smile, but it gave Lewis hope. We'll see, she said. Then she turned and walked away. Lewis stood in the parking lot, watching until she disappeared into the crowd. His heart was pounding with excitement and fear. He had found Maya again. Now he had to figure out how to win her back. But first, he had to answer one important question. What was he willing to give up to get her back? Lewis stood alone in the parking lot, staring at the spot where Maya had disappeared. The question echoed in his mind. What was he willing to give up to get her back? Everything, he realized. He would give up everything. But first, he needed to understand what really happened 10 years ago. There was something Maya wasn't telling him. Something in her eyes when she said she left because she was scared. Lewis had seen that look before, but he couldn't remember when. His phone buzzed with text messages. His team was looking for him. The media wanted interviews. But Lewis ignored them all. He walked back to his motorhome in the Mercedes garage, his mind racing with memories. 10 years earlier. December 2014, Lewis was 29 years old and on top of the world. He had just won his second Formula One World Championship with Mercedes. The season finale in Abu Dhabi had been perfect. He crossed the finish line knowing he was the best driver in the world. But the best part wasn't the trophy or the champagne. The best part was knowing Maya was waiting for him at home in London. They had been together for 2 years. Lewis met Maya at a charity event in 2012. She was a medical student then, working part-time at the event to earn extra money. Lewis was immediately drawn to her intelligence and kindness. She didn't care that he was famous. She didn't ask for autographs or selfies. She just talked to him like he was a normal person. That was what Lewis loved most about Maya. When he was with her, he felt like himself again. Not Lewis Hamilton, the racing driver, but just Lewis, the boy from Stevenage who dreamed of being fast enough to win races. Their small apartment in Notting Hill wasn't fancy, but it was home. Maya studied for her medical exams at the kitchen table while Lewis worked out in their tiny spare bedroom. They cooked dinner together, watched movies, and talked about their dreams. Maya wanted to be a heart surgeon. She worked 16-hour days at the hospital while studying for her final exams. Lewis traveled the world racing, but he always came home to Maya. She was his anchor, his safe place. Lewis flew home from Abu Dhabi on December 1st, 2014. He had the championship trophy in his carry-on bag. He couldn't wait to show Maya. He couldn't wait to celebrate with the woman he loved. But when he opened the door to their apartment, something was wrong. Maya was sitting on their couch, crying. There were 2 suitcases by the door. On the coffee table was an official letter with a hospital logo. Maya, Lewis said, dropping his bag. What's wrong? What's happening? Maya looked up at him with red, swollen eyes. I got accepted, she whispered. Accepted to what? She held up the letter. The heart surgery program at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York. It's a 5-year program. The best in the world. Lewis felt confused. That's amazing. Maya, this is what you've always wanted. I know, Maya said, wiping her eyes. I applied 6 months ago. I never thought I'd get in. Only 10 people get accepted each year. Lewis sat down next to her on the couch. So why are you crying? This is good news. Maya looked at him with an expression he didn't understand. Lewis, the program starts in 2 weeks. I have to move to New York. I have to leave. Leave? For how long? 5 years. Maybe longer if I specialize further. Lewis felt like the world had stopped spinning. 5 years? Maya, I don't understand. We can make this work. I can visit you. You can come to some races. Maya shook her head. It's not that simple. The program is intense. I'll be working 80-hour weeks. I'll be studying constantly. I won't have time for visits or travel. But what about us? Lewis asked. What about our relationship? Maya started crying harder. I don't know. I don't know how to do this. Lewis felt panic rising in his chest. Maya, don't you want to be with me? Of course I do. Maya said. I love you more than anything. But I also love medicine. I love saving lives. This program, it's everything I've ever worked for. Lewis stood up and started pacing around their small living room. So what are you saying? That your career is more important than us? That's not fair, Maya said. Your career takes you away from me 10 months out of the year. You're always traveling, always training, always focused on the next race. That's different, Lewis said. Racing is what I do. It's who I am. And medicine is who I am, Maya replied. But somehow, my dreams matter less than yours. Lewis stopped, pacing. I never said that. You didn't have to say it, Maya said. It's obvious. When you travel for racing, I support you. I cheer you on. I wait for you to come home. But now that I have a chance to follow my dreams, you want me to stay. Lewis sat back down. I want us to be together. Is that so wrong? No, Maya said softly. It's not wrong, but it's not enough either. They sat in silence for a long moment. Lewis could hear the clock ticking on the wall. He could hear cars driving by outside. But he couldn't hear Maya's heart beating the way he used to when they cuddled on this same couch. When do you have to decide? Lewis asked finally. I already decided, Maya said. I'm going. Lewis felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. You already decided? Without talking to me. I've been thinking about it for weeks, Maya said. Ever since I got the interview. I knew this day would come eventually. So you've been planning to leave me for weeks. I've been planning to follow my dreams, Maya said. Just like you follow yours. Lewis stood up again. He felt angry and hurt and confused all at once. This is different, Maya. We're supposed to be a team. We're supposed to make decisions together. Are we? Maya asked. Because I don't remember. You asking me if I wanted to move to Monaco for tax reasons. I don't remember you asking me if I was okay with you buying a house in Los Angeles. You make decisions about your life, and I just follow along. Louis stared at her. That's not true. Isn't it? Maya said. Louis, I love you. I love you so much it hurts. But I can't keep living my life in the shadow of yours. I need to find out who I am when I'm not just Lewis Hamilton's girlfriend. Louis felt tears forming in his eyes. You're not just my girlfriend. You're the woman I love. You're the woman I want to marry. Maya's eyes widened. Marry? Louis realized he had never said that word out loud before. But it was true. He had been thinking about marriage for months. He had even looked at engagement rings. Yes, he said. I want to marry you, Maya. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Maya started crying again, but these were different tears. Louis, don't do this. Don't make this harder than it already is. I'm not trying to make it hard, Louis said. I'm trying to make it simple. I love you. You love me. We can figure out the rest. Maya stood up and walked to the window. She looked out at the London street where they had walked together so many times. It's not that simple. Love isn't always enough. It is for me, Louis said. You're enough for me. Maya turned around to face him. But am I enough for myself? That's the question I can't answer when I'm with you. Louis didn't understand. What do you mean? I mean that when I'm with you, I lose myself. Your life is so big, so exciting, so important. Next to you, I feel small. I feel like I'm disappearing. You're not disappearing, Louis said. You're the most important person in my life. But I'm not the most important person in my own life, Maya said. And that's the problem. Louis felt like they were speaking different languages. Maya, I don't understand what you want from me. I want you to understand that I need to do this. I need to go to New York. I need to become the doctor I'm meant to be. I need to find out who I am without you. And what if you find out that you don't need me? Louis asked. Maya walked over to him and took his hands. Then at least we'll. No. But what if I stay and always wonder what could have been? What if I resent you for holding me back? Louis looked into her eyes. He could see the determination there. He could see that her mind was made up. So you're really leaving? I'm really leaving, Maya said. Louis felt his heart breaking. When? Tonight. My flight is at midnight. Louis stared at her. Tonight? Maya, that's in 4 hours. I know. I wanted to tell you sooner, but I was scared. I was scared you'd try to talk me out of it. Of course I try to talk you out of it. Louis said. I love you. And I love you, Maya said. That's why this is so hard. Louis pulled his hands away from hers. If you love me, you'll stay. Maya shook her head. If you love me, you'll let me go. They stared at each other across their small living room. Louis could see the pain in Maya's eyes. He could see how much this was hurting her too. But he could also see that she wasn't going to change her mind. I can't, Louis said finally. I can't let you go. Not without a fight. Maya smiled sadly. I know. That's one of the things I love about you. You never give up. Then why won't you fight for us? Because sometimes fighting means knowing when to let go. Louis felt anger rising in his chest. That's not fighting. That's giving up. Is it? Maya asked. Or is it being brave enough to choose the harder path? Louis didn't answer. He couldn't answer. He was too hurt, too angry, too confused. Maya walked over to her suitcases. I need to finish packing. So, that's it, Louis said. You're just going to leave? After 2 years together, you're just going to walk away? Maya turned around. I'm not walking away from you, Louis. I'm walking towards something else. Something I need to do for myself. What's the difference? The difference is that I still love you. I'll always love you. But I can't be with you right now. Louis felt tears streaming down his face. Right now? Or ever? Maya's voice was barely a whisper. I don't know. Louis watched her pack her clothes, her books, her medical equipment. She was taking her life with her. She was leaving nothing behind except him. Maya, he said when she was almost finished. What if I waited for you? What if I waited 5 years? Maya stopped packing and looked at him. Louis, you can't put your life on hold for me. That's not fair to either of us. But what if I want to? Then I'd say you're making a mistake, Maya said. You have your own life to live, your own dreams to chase. Louis felt desperate. My dreams don't mean anything without you. Maya walked over to him and touched his face gently. Yes, they do. They mean everything. They're who you are. You're who I am, Louis said. Maya kissed him softly. No, I'm who you love. There's a difference. Louis kissed her back, trying to memorize the feel of her lips, the smell of her hair, the warmth of her body. He wanted to remember everything about this moment, even though it was breaking his heart. When they pulled apart, Maya was crying again. I have to go. Louis nodded, even though every part of him wanted to beg her to stay. I know. Maya picked up her suitcases and walked to the door. She turned around one last time. Louis, yes, in another life, we would have made it work. In this life, we could still make it work, Louis said. Maya smiled sadly. Maybe, but we'll never know, will we? Then she opened the door and walked out of his life. Louis stood in their empty apartment, staring at the door she had just closed. On the coffee table, next to the letter from Mount Sinai Hospital, was a small piece of paper. Maya had left him a note. Louis picked it up with shaking hands and read, Louis, I love you more than I've ever loved anyone. But I love myself too, and I need to find out who that person is. Please don't hate me for choosing my dreams. Please don't wait for me. Please be happy. You deserve all the happiness in the world. Forever yours, Maya. Louis crumpled up the note and threw it across the room. Then he sat on the couch and cried until he couldn't cry anymore. Present day, July 2024. Louis shook his head, trying to clear the painful memories. He was sitting in his motorhome at Silverstone 10 years later, but the hurt still felt fresh now. Maya was back in his life, even if only for a few minutes. And Louis was determined not to let her disappear again. He pulled out his phone and called his assistant. I need you to book me a flight to New York. Tonight. Tonight? His assistant asked. But you have the Hungarian Grand Prix in 5 days. You have practice sessions, meetings. Cancel them, Louis said. I have something more important to do. Louis hung up the phone and started packing his bags. He was going to New York. He was going to find Maya. And this time, he wasn't going to let her go. But first, he had to figure out what he was willing to sacrifice to get her back. Because 10 years ago, he had been too proud to fight for their love. This time, he would do whatever it took, even if it meant giving up racing forever. Louis's private jet touched down at JFK Airport in New York at 11:30 p.m. He had flown through the night, unable to sleep, unable to think about anything except finding Maya. His team had called him 20 times during the flight. His manager was furious. But Louis didn't care about any of that anymore. He had a driver waiting to take him into Manhattan. As the city lights flashed by outside the car window, Louis tried to figure out where to start looking. New York was a huge city with millions of people. Maya could be anywhere, but Louis remembered what she had said at Silverstone. She was a heart surgeon now, one of the best in New York, she had said. There couldn't be that many heart surgeons in the city. He would start with the hospitals. His first stop was Mount Sinai Hospital, where Maya had gone 10 years ago. It was 1 a.m. when Louis walked into the emergency room lobby. The security guard looked surprised to see a famous race car driver in the middle of the night. I'm looking for Dr. Maya Chun, Louis told the receptionist. She's a heart surgeon here. The woman typed on her computer. I'm sorry, sir. We don't have a Dr. Chun working here anymore. Louis felt his heart sink. Do you know where she went? I can't give out that information, the woman said. But you could try calling in the morning during business hours. Louis thanked her and left. He spent the next 3 hours driving around Manhattan, stopping at every major hospital. Mount Sinai, NYU Langone, New York Presbyterian, Columbia. At each one, he asked the same question. At each one, he got the same answer. Finally, at 4:30 a.m., a tired-looking security guard at New York Presbyterian Hospital recognized Maya's name. Dr. Chun? Yeah, she used to work here. Great surgeon, but she left about 2 years ago to start her own practice. Do you know where? Louis asked desperately. The guard shrugged. Sorry, man. That's all I know. Louis sat in his rental car outside the hospital, feeling defeated. New York was too big. There were too many places Maya could be. He needed help. He pulled out his phone and called his personal investigator, a man named Marcus who had helped him with security issues in the past. Louis. Marcus answered on the first ring. It's almost 5 a.m. What's wrong? I need you to find someone, Louis said. Dr. Maya Chun. She's a heart surgeon in New York. Okay, Marcus said. Give me everything you know about her. Louis told Marcus everything. Maya's full name, her age, where she went to medical school, where she had worked. Within 2 hours, Marcus called back. I found her, Marcus said. Dr. Maya Chun. She runs a private practice called Manhattan Heart Center on the Upper East Side. She specializes in pediatric heart surgery. Lewis felt relief wash over him. Pediatric? She operates on children. Yeah, according to her website, she's one of the top pediatric heart surgeons in the country. She's saved hundreds of kids' lives. Lewis smiled for the first time since leaving London. Maya had achieved her dreams. She had become everything she wanted to be. I'm sending you the address, Marcus continued. But Lewis, her office doesn't open until 9 a.m. Lewis looked at his watch. It was 7:15 a.m. He had almost 2 hours to wait. Thanks, Marcus. I owe you one. Lewis drove to the Upper East Side and parked outside Manhattan Heart Center. It was a beautiful building with large windows and a small garden in front. A sign by the door read, Dr. Maya Chun, MD, Pediatric Cardiothoracic Surgery. Lewis sat in his car and waited. He watched people walking by on their way to work. He watched children playing in a small park across the street. He wondered if Maya ever looked out her office window and watched those same children at exactly 9 a.m. Lewis saw a familiar figure walking down the sidewalk. Maya was wearing a white doctor's coat over dark blue scrubs. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail. She looked professional and confident. She looked like the doctor she had always dreamed of becoming. Lewis got out of his car and called her. Name: Maya. Maya turned around and gasped. Lewis? What are you? How did you find me? I told you I would find you, Lewis said, walking toward her. I meant it. Maya looked around nervously. Lewis, I can't do this here. This is my workplace. Then where? Lewis asked. Where can we talk? Maya checked her watch. I have surgery in an hour, but there's a coffee shop around the corner. We can talk there for a few minutes. They walked to the small coffee shop in silence. Lewis bought 2 coffees while Maya found a quiet table in the back corner. She sat with her hands folded in her lap, looking nervous. You flew to New York, Maya said when Lewis sat down. You actually flew here to find me. I told you this wasn't over, Lewis said. I meant every word. Maya took a sip of her coffee. Lewis, what happened at Silverstone? It was good to see you, but it doesn't change anything, doesn't it? Lewis asked. Maya, we're not the same people we were 10 years ago. You said so yourself. Maybe we can have a different ending this time. Maya looked out the window at the busy New York street. I have a good life here, Lewis. I have my practice, my patients, my routine. I can't just throw that away. I'm not asking you to throw anything away, Lewis said. I'm asking you to consider adding something to your life. Adding me? Maya looked back at him. And what about your life? Your racing career? Are you planning to give that up and move to New York? Lewis had been thinking about that question all night. If that's what it takes, yes. Maya stared at him in shock. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious about anything in my life, Lewis said. Maya, racing used to be everything to me. But yesterday, when I saw you in that crowd, I realized something. Racing is what I do, but you're who I love. Maya's eyes filled with tears. Lewis, you can't give up your career for me. That's not fair. Why not? You gave up our relationship for your career. That's different, Maya said. I was following my dreams. You'd be giving up yours. Lewis reached across the table and took her hand. My dreams have changed. 10 years ago, I dreamed about winning championships and breaking records. Now I dream about having a family. I dream about coming home to someone who loves me. I dream about growing old with the woman who stole my heart when I was 27 years old. Maya pulled her hand away. Lewis, stop. Please stop. Why? Because you don't feel the same way. Because you don't love me anymore. Because it's too late, Maya whispered. Lewis felt like she had slapped him. Too late? Maya, we're both still young. We both still have our whole lives ahead of us. Maya shook her head. You don't understand. Then help me understand, Lewis said. Tell me what I'm missing. Tell me why it's too late. Maya was quiet for a long moment. She looked down at her hands, then back up at Lewis. There was something in her eyes that he had never seen before. Fear, sadness, and something else. Something that looked like guilt. There's something I never told you, Maya said finally. Something I should have told you 10 years ago. Lewis felt his heart start beating faster. What? Maya reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. She scrolled through her photos for a moment, then turned the screen toward Lewis. Her name is Lily, Maya said quietly. Lewis looked at the photo and felt the world stop spinning. It was a picture of a little girl, maybe 9 years old, with curly brown hair and big dark eyes. She was wearing a school uniform and smiling at the camera, but it wasn't just any little girl. Louis could see himself in her face. The shape of her eyes, the curve of her smile, the way she tilted her head slightly to the left. It was like looking at a photo of himself as a child, but with Maya's features mixed in. "She's," Louis started to say, but he couldn't finish the sentence. "She's your daughter," Maya said, tears streaming down her face. "She's our daughter." Louis stared at the photo, trying to process what he was seeing. He had a daughter, a 9-year-old daughter he had never met. A little girl who had been alive for almost a decade, and he knew nothing about her. "How?" Louis whispered. "I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks after I moved to New York," Maya said. "I was scared and alone and didn't know what to do." Louis looked up from the phone. "Why didn't you tell me?" Maya wiped her eyes with a napkin. "I wanted to. I picked up the phone to call you 100 times. But then I saw you on TV with Nicole Scherzinger. You looked happy. You looked like you had moved on." Louis remembered. He had dated Nicole briefly in early 2015, right after Maya left. It was a rebound relationship that didn't last long. But the media had covered it extensively. "That wasn't serious," Louis said. "That was nothing." "I didn't know that," Maya said. "I thought you had found someone new. Someone who wouldn't leave you for their career. Someone who would give you what?" "I couldn't." Louis felt anger and sadness and confusion all mixed together. "So you decided to raise our child alone? Without even giving me a chance to be a father?" "I was 26 years old and in my first year of a brutal medical program," Maya said. "I was working 18-hour days and studying all night. I could barely take care of myself, let alone a baby." "But you did take care of her," Louis said, looking at the photo again. "She looks happy and healthy." Maya smiled through her tears. "She is. She's the most amazing little girl you've ever seen. She's smart and funny and kind. She gets good grades in school and loves to read. She wants to be a doctor like her mom." Louis felt his heart breaking and filling with love at the same time. Does she know about me?" Maya nodded. "I told her that her father was a race car driver. I showed her pictures of you. I told her that you were a good man who loved her very much, but that we couldn't be together. And she believed that." "She's 9 years old, Louis. She doesn't understand adult relationships. She just knows that her daddy is someone famous who drives fast cars." Louis stared at the photo of his daughter. Lily, his little girl. He had missed so much already. Her first steps, her first words, her first day of school. 9 years of birthdays and Christmas mornings and bedtime stories. "I want to meet her," Louis said. Maya tensed up. "Louis, I don't know if that's a good idea." "She's my daughter," Louis said firmly. "I have a right to meet my own daughter." "You have rights," Maya agreed. "But what about her rights? What about her right to have a stable, normal life? If she meets you, everything changes. The media will find out. Her picture will be in every magazine and newspaper in the world. Is that fair to her?" Louis hadn't thought about that. He was so used to living in the spotlight that he had forgotten what it was like to have privacy. "We'll figure it out," Louis said. "We'll protect her." Maya shook her head. "Louis, you don't understand what it's like to be a parent. Every decision you make has to be about what's best for your child, not what you want." "What about what she wants?" Louis asked. "What if she wants to meet her father?" Maya was quiet for a moment. "She asks about you sometimes. She wants to know why you never visit her." Louis felt like someone had stabbed him in the heart. "What do you tell her?" "I tell her that you love her very much, but that you live far away and have a very important job." Louis put his head in his hands. "Maya, I can't believe you kept this from me for 9 years." "I'm sorry," Maya said. "I'm so sorry, Louis. I thought I was doing the right thing." Louis looked up at her. "The right thing would have been to tell me the truth." "Maybe," Maya said. "But I was scared. I was scared you would try to take her away from me. I was scared you would want custody." "Do you really think I would do that?" Louis asked. Maya shrugged. "I didn't know. You were angry when I left. You felt betrayed. I thought you might use Lily to hurt me." Louis reached across the table and took Maya's hand again. This time, she didn't pull away. "I could never hurt Lily," Louis said. "She's innocent in all of this. And Maya, I could never hurt you either." "Not really. I was angry 10 years ago, but I was never cruel." Maya nodded. "I know that now. But I was young and scared and making decisions by myself." Louis looked at the photo of Lily again. Where is she now? She's at school. PS6 on the Upper East Side. She'll be home at 3:30. Louis checked his watch. It was 9:45 a.m. He had almost 6 hours to wait. Maya, Louis said carefully. I want to meet her today. Maya's eyes widened. Today? Louis, that's too fast. She needs time to prepare. I need time to prepare. We've all had 9 years to prepare, Louis said. I don't want to wait another day. Maya stood up suddenly. I have to go. I have surgery in 15 minutes. Louis stood up too. Maya, please, don't run away again. I'm not running away, Maya said. I'm going to work. I have a little boy waiting for me who needs a new heart valve. Louis realized he was being selfish. Maya had patients who needed her, children whose lives depended on her skills. I'm sorry, Louis said. Go. Save that little boy's life. Maya picked up her purse. Louis, I need you to promise me something. What? Promise me you won't try to see Lily without me there. Promise me you won't go to her school or follow her home. She doesn't know you're in New York, and I want to be the one to tell her. Louis wanted to say no. He wanted to run to Lily's school and see his daughter right now. But he could see the fear in Maya's eyes. She was protecting their child the only way she knew how. I promise, Louis said. But Maya, I want to meet her today. After school. I've waited 9 years to meet my daughter. I can't wait any longer. Maya nodded slowly. Okay, come to my apartment at 4 p.m. I'll talk to her after school and prepare her. Maya wrote her address on a napkin and handed it to Louis. Louis, yes, please don't break her heart. She's been through enough already. Louis looked at Maya with tears in his eyes. I would never break her heart. She's my daughter. I love her already. Maya smiled sadly. I know you do. That's what scares me. Then she turned and walked out of the coffee shop, leaving Louis alone. With the photo of the daughter he never knew he had, Louis stared at Lily's picture for a long time. His little girl. His baby. He had missed so much, but he was going to make sure he didn't miss any more. In 6 hours, he was going to meet his daughter for the first time. And nothing in his life would ever be the same again. Louis spent the longest 6 hours of his life walking around Central Park. He couldn't sit still. He couldn't eat. He couldn't think about anything except meeting Lily. He called his brother Tommy in London. Louis, why are you calling so early? Tommy asked. It was 2 p.m. in New York, but 7 p.m. in London. I have a daughter, Louis said. Without saying hello, there was silence on the other end of the phone. Then Tommy said, What? Louis told him everything. About seeing Maya at Silverstone, about flying to New York, about the photo of Lily. Tommy listened without interrupting. A 9-year-old daughter. Tommy said when Louis finished. Louis, this is, wow. I'm going to meet her in 2 hours. Louis said, I'm terrified. Of course you are, Tommy said. You're about to meet the most important person in your life. Louis sat down on a park bench and watched children playing on a playground. He wondered if Lily had ever played on this same playground. What if she doesn't like me? Louis asked. What if I don't know what to say to her? Louis, she's your daughter, Tommy said. She's going to love you. Just be yourself. What if myself isn't good enough? Tommy laughed. You're Lewis Hamilton. You're a 7-time world champion. You're one of the most successful people in the world. That doesn't make me a good father, Louis said. No, Tommy agreed. But your heart does. And I've never seen you love anyone the way you still love Maya. If Lily is half Maya and half you, she's going to be an amazing kid. Louis felt a little better after talking to Tommy. But he was still nervous when he arrived at Maya's apartment building at exactly 4:00 p.m. Maya lived in a beautiful building on East 79th Street. The doorman knew her and smiled when Louis mentioned her name. Dr. Chun is expecting you, the doorman said. Apartment 12B. Louis rode the elevator to the 12th floor. His hands were shaking as he knocked on Maya's door. Maya opened the door wearing jeans and a sweater. She looked more relaxed than she had at the coffee shop. Come in, she said quietly. Louis walked into a bright, comfortable apartment. The walls were covered with photos of Lily at different ages. Lily is a baby, Lily taking her first steps, Lily on her first day of school. 9 years of moments that Louis had missed. She's in her room, Maya said. I told her that someone very special was coming to visit. Someone who loves her very much. Did you tell her it was me? Louis asked. Maya shook her head. I wanted to, but I thought it might be better if you told her yourself. Louis nodded. His heart was beating so fast he thought it might explode. Louis, Maya said, touching his arm. She's just a normal 9-year-old girl. She likes books and movies and ice cream. Don't be nervous. But Louis was nervous. He had driven race cars at 200 miles per hour. He had performed in front of millions of people. But nothing had ever scared him as much as meeting his own daughter. Lily, Maya called. Can you come to the living room, please? Louis heard footsteps running down the hallway. Then a little girl appeared in the doorway. Louis forgot how to breathe. Lily was even more beautiful in person than in her photo. She had Maya's dark eyes and Louis's curly hair. She was wearing a school uniform with a small backpack over her shoulder. Lily, Maya said gently, this is Louis, the special person I told you about. Lily looked at Louis with curious eyes. Hi, she said in a small voice. Hi, Lily, Louis said, kneeling down so he was at her eye level. It's so nice to meet you. Lily stepped closer to him. You look familiar. Do I know you from somewhere? Louis looked at Maya, who nodded encouragingly. Lily, Louis said carefully. Do you remember the stories your mom told you about your daddy? Lily's eyes grew wide. You're my daddy? Louis felt tears forming in his eyes. Yes, sweetheart. I'm your daddy. Lily stared at him for a long moment. Then she did something that surprised everyone, including herself. She ran into Louis's arms and hugged him as tight as she could. Louis held his daughter for the first time and started crying. He had never felt love like this before. It was instant and overwhelming and perfect. I knew you would come, Lily whispered into his ear. Mommy said you were busy, but I knew you would come see me someday. Louis looked at Maya over Lily's head. Maya was crying too. I'm sorry it took me so long, Louis said to Lily. But I'm here now. Lily pulled back and looked at his face. You're really my daddy? The race car driver? Louis nodded. I really am. Lily smiled the biggest smile Louis had ever seen. That's so cool. Wait until I tell Emma at school. Her dad is just a lawyer. Louis and Maya both laughed. Lily, Maya said, why don't you show your daddy your room? Lily grabbed Louis's hand. Come on, I have pictures of you. Louis let Lily lead him down the hallway to her bedroom. The walls were painted light blue and covered with posters of race cars. On her desk was a small toy Formula One car and several magazines with Louis on the cover. Mommy gave me these, Lily said, pointing to the magazines. She said you're very famous. Louis picked up one of the magazines. It was from his championship win in 2020. Do you like race cars? Lily nodded enthusiastically. I think they're awesome, but Mommy says they're dangerous. They can be, Louis said. That's why drivers have to be very careful and wear special safety equipment. Lily sat on her bed and patted the spot next to her. Sit with me, Daddy. Louis's heart melted when she called him Daddy. He sat next to her on the small bed. Can I ask you something? Lily said. You can ask me anything. Why didn't you come see me before? I've been alive for 9 whole years. Louis felt his heart break. This was the question he had been dreading. How do you explain to a 9-year-old that her parents made mistakes? Well, Louis said carefully, sometimes grown-ups make decisions that they think are right at the time, but later they realize they were wrong. What kind of decisions? Louis looked toward the doorway. Maya was standing there, listening. Your mommy and I, we used to love each other very much. But we lived far apart and had different jobs. We thought it would be too hard to be together. But you could have visited me, Lily said, even if you and Mommy weren't together. Louis felt tears in his eyes again. You're absolutely right. I should have visited you. I should have been part of your life from the beginning. So why weren't you? Louis took a deep breath. Because I didn't know you existed, sweetheart. Your mommy didn't tell me about you until today. Lily looked confused. Why didn't Mommy tell you? Louis looked at Maya again. She walked into the room and sat on the other side of Lily. Because I was scared, Maya said honestly. I was young and didn't know how to be a good mommy yet. I thought I was protecting you. Protecting me from what? Lily asked. From having a daddy who lived far away and might not be able to spend much time with you, Maya said. Lily thought about this for a moment. But wouldn't some time be better than no time? Louis and Maya looked at each other, out of the mouths of babes. You're absolutely right, Louis said. Some time would have been much better than no time. Lily suddenly perked up. But you're here now. Does that mean you're going to stay? Louis felt panic in his chest. How could he explain that he lived in England? That he traveled all over the world for work? That he couldn't just stay in New York forever? I want to spend as much time with you as I can, Louis said. But I have to travel a lot for my job. Lily's face fell. So you're going to leave again? Not forever, Louis said quickly. I'll come back to visit you. We'll talk on the phone. We'll video chat. Promise. Louis looked into his daughter's eyes. I promise. I will never disappear from your life again. Lily smiled and hugged him again. I love you, Daddy. Louis felt his heart explode with happiness. I love you too, Lily. More than anything in the whole world. They spent the next 2 hours talking. Lily showed Louis her schoolwork, her favorite books, her stuffed animals. She told him about her best friend Emma, her teacher Mrs. Rodriguez, her favorite subjects in school. Louis learned that Lily loved math and science. She was at the top of her class in reading. She played soccer on a weekend team. She took piano lessons every Tuesday. I want to be a doctor like Mommy, Lily said. I want to help sick people get better. That's a wonderful dream, Louis said. You'll make an amazing doctor. Do you think I could be a race car driver too? Lily asked. Louis looked at Maya, who looked worried. You could be anything you want to be, Louis said. But racing is very dangerous. It takes years of training and practice. I'm not scared, Lily said. You do it. That's different, Maya said quickly. Your daddy has been racing since he was your age. Lily's eyes lit up. You started racing when you were 9? Even younger, Louis said. I was 6 when I got my first go-kart. Can I try go-karting? Lily asked excitedly. Maya looked terrified. Lily, that's very dangerous. But Daddy did it when he was 6. Louis could see the fear in Maya's eyes. He understood. Maya had raised Lily by herself for 9 years. She had kept her safe and healthy and happy. The idea of putting Lily in a race car, even a slow go-kart, probably terrified her. Maybe we can talk about that later, Louis said diplomatically. When you're a little older. Lily looked disappointed but didn't argue. At 6:30, Maya said it was time for dinner. Lily needs to do her homework after we eat. Can Daddy eat dinner with us? Lily asked. Louis looked at Maya. If it's okay with your mom. Maya nodded. Of course. They ordered pizza and ate in the living room while Lily asked Louis a million questions about racing. She wanted to know about every country he had visited, every track he had raced on, every car he had driven. Louis answered every question patiently. He loved seeing the excitement in Lily's eyes when he told her stories about winning races and meeting famous people. After dinner, Maya said Lily needed to do her homework. But I want to talk to Daddy more, Lily protested. You'll see him again soon, Maya said. When? Lily asked, looking at Louis. Louis felt the weight of that question. When would he see her again? He was supposed to fly back to London for the Hungarian Grand Prix in 3 days. His whole life was on a different continent. Very soon, Louis said. I promise. Lily hugged him goodnight. This is the best day of my whole life, she said. Louis felt tears in his eyes again. Mine too, sweetheart. Mine too. After Lily went to her room to do homework, Louis and Maya sat on the couch in awkward silence. She's incredible, Louis said finally. Maya, you've done an amazing job raising her. Thank you, Maya said. She's the best thing I've ever done. I can see why you were protective of her, Louis said. I can see why you didn't want to share her with someone who might disappoint her. Maya looked at him. You're not going to disappoint her, are you, Louis? Louis met her eyes. Not if I can. Help it. Maya, I meant what I said. I want to be part of her life. A real part. What does that mean? Louis had been thinking about this all afternoon. It means I want to be here for her birthday parties and soccer games and piano recitals. It means I want to help her with homework and read her bedtime stories. It means I want to be her father, not just a famous person she sees once in a while. Maya looked worried. Louis, your life is in England. Your career, your team, everything. Then maybe it's time for my life to change, Louis said. Maya stared at him. What are you saying? Louis took a deep breath. I'm saying that I've spent the last 15 years chasing championships and breaking records. But what's the point of all that success if I don't have a family to share it with? Louis, you can't give up racing for us. It's who you are. No, Louis said firmly. Racing is what I do. You and Lily, you're who I am. Maya was quiet for a long moment. Louis, this is all happening so fast. Yesterday, Lily didn't even know you were going to be part of her life. Now you're talking about changing everything. I know it's fast, Louis said, but I've already lost 9 years with my daughter. I don't want to lose any more time. Maya stood up and walked to the window. Louis, what if this doesn't work out? What if you try to be a father and realize it's too hard? What if you decide you want your old life back? Louis joined her at the window. That's not going to happen. How can you be so sure? Louis looked toward Lily's room, where they could hear her humming while she did her homework. Because 3 hours ago, I met the most amazing little girl in the world. And she's my daughter. She's part of me. I would do anything for her. Maya turned to face him. Even give up racing? Louis looked into Maya's eyes. Even give up racing? They stood there looking at each other for a long moment. Louis could see the fear in Maya's eyes, but he could also see something else. Hope. Maybe. Even love. I need time to think about this, Maya said finally. This affects Lily's whole life. I can't make this decision quickly. Louis nodded. I understand. But Maya, I'm not going anywhere. Not this time. As Louis prepared to leave, Lily came running out of her room in her pajamas. Daddy, you're leaving? Louis knelt down and hugged her. Just for tonight, sweetheart. I'll see you again very soon. Tomorrow? Lily asked hopefully. Louis looked at Maya, who nodded. Tomorrow, Louis promised. After Louis left, he sat in his rental car outside Maya's building for a long time. In one day, his entire life had changed. He had a daughter. A beautiful, smart, amazing daughter who called him daddy and loved him unconditionally. Louis pulled out his phone and called his team manager. Louis, where have you been? We've been trying to reach you all day. I need to tell you something. Louis said, I might not make it to Hungary this weekend. What? Louis, you can't miss a race. Louis looked up at the windows of Maya's apartment. I just found out I have a daughter. I need to be here with her. There was silence on the other end of the phone. Did you just say you have a daughter? Yes, Louis said. Her name is Lily. She's 9 years old, and she's the most important thing in my world now. Louis hung up the phone and drove back to his hotel. He had some very big decisions to make. But for the first time in years, he knew exactly what he wanted. He wanted to be Lily's father. Whatever that meant. Whatever it cost. Louis woke up at 6 a.m. in his hotel room. He had barely slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Lily's face. He heard her calling him daddy. He felt her small arms hugging him tight. His phone was buzzing with messages. His team, his manager, reporters. Everyone wanted to know where he was and why he had missed his scheduled meetings. But Louis ignored them all. He only cared about one thing, spending the day with his daughter. He showered and got dressed, then called Maya. Good morning, Maya answered on the first ring. How did you sleep? I didn't, Louis said honestly. I kept thinking about yesterday. About Lily. Maya was quiet for a moment. She woke up talking about you. She's so excited that you're coming back today. Louis smiled. What time does she get home from school? 3:30. But Louis, we need to talk first. Just you and me. Louis felt worried. Is everything okay? It's fine, Maya said. I just think we need to discuss some things before you see Lily again. Can you meet me for lunch? They agreed to meet at a small restaurant near Maya's office at noon. Louis spent the morning walking around Central Park again, but this time he felt different. This time he wasn't nervous. He was excited. He was going to see his daughter again in a few hours. It's exactly noon. Louis walked into the restaurant where Maya was waiting. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept much either. How was surgery this morning? Louis asked as he sat down. Good, Maya said. I saved a little boy's life. He's going to be fine. Louis smiled. You're amazing, you know that? What you do every day. It's incredible. Maya blushed slightly. Thank you. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. Louis felt his stomach tighten. What's wrong? Maya pulled out her phone and showed Louis a news website. The headline read, Lewis Hamilton misses team meetings. Where is the F1 star? The media is starting to ask questions, Maya said. Your team announced that you're dealing with a personal matter, but they won't say what. Louis read the article quickly. It was mostly speculation, but some reporters were wondering if he was injured or having problems with his team. This doesn't matter, Louis said. Let them wonder. Maya looked worried. Louis, what happens when they find out about Lily? What happens when the whole world knows you have a daughter? Louis had been thinking about this too. We'll figure it out. We'll protect her. How? Maya asked. You're one of the most famous athletes in the world. When people find out you have a 9-year-old daughter, they're going to want to know everything about her. Where she goes to school, who her friends are, what she likes to do. Louis felt a chill run down his spine. He hadn't thought about that. He was so used to living in the public eye that he had forgotten what it was like to have privacy. We'll hire security, Lewis said. We'll be careful. Maya shook her head. Lewis, you don't understand. I've worked very hard to give Lily a normal life. She goes to a regular school with regular kids. She plays soccer at the local park. She walks to the corner store to buy candy. If the world finds out she's your daughter, all of that changes forever. Lewis realized Maya was right. Once the media found out about Lily, her life would never be normal again. There would be photographers following her to school, reporters asking her classmates questions. Her picture would be in magazines and newspapers around the world. So, what are you saying? Lewis asked. That I should just disappear from her life again? No, Maya said quickly. I'm saying we need to be very careful about how we handle this. Maybe you could see her sometimes, but quietly. Maybe we could keep it a secret for a while longer. Lewis felt frustrated. Maya, I don't want to be a secret father. I want to be a real father. I want to pick her up from school and take her to soccer games and meet her teachers. I know, Maya said. I want that for you too. But we have to think about what's best for Lily. Before Lewis could respond, his phone started ringing. It was his manager, James. I should take this, Lewis said. It might be important. Lewis, James said as soon as Lewis answered. Where the hell are you? The team is furious. You missed 3 meetings yesterday and 2 more this morning. I told you, Lewis said. I'm dealing with a personal matter. What kind of personal matter? Are you sick? Injured? Lewis looked at Maya, who was listening carefully. I can't explain right now, but I need a few more days in New York. A few more days? James shouted. Lewis, the Hungarian Grand Prix is in 2 days. You have to be at the track tomorrow for practice. Lewis felt torn. He wanted to be at the race. Racing was his life, his passion, but he also wanted to be with Lily. I'll be there, Lewis said finally. I'll fly out tonight. Maya looked surprised. After Lewis hung up, she asked, You're leaving tonight? Lewis nodded reluctantly. I have to. If I miss the race, it could cost me my seat with Mercedes. I understand, Maya said. Your career is important. My career used to be the most important thing, Lewis said. Now it's not. Maya reached across the table and took his hand. Lewis, you don't have to choose between racing and being Lily's father. We can make this work. You can race on weekends and visit us when you're not traveling. Lewis squeezed her hand. Is that what you want? For me to be a part-time father? Maya was quiet for a moment. I want what's best for Lily. And what's best for you? They finished lunch and walked to Maya's apartment together. Lewis felt sad that he would have to leave Lily so soon after meeting her. But he also felt determined to find a way to make this work. Lily was waiting for them when they got to the apartment. She had changed out of her school uniform and was wearing jeans and a t-shirt with a race car on it. Daddy, she said, running into Lewis's arms. I missed you. Lewis picked her up and spun her around. I missed you too, sweetheart. Can we go? To the park? Lily asked. I want to show you where I play soccer. Lewis looked at Maya, who nodded. That sounds like fun. They walked to a small park a few blocks away. Lily showed Lewis the soccer field where she practiced with her team. She introduced him to some of the other kids who were playing there. This is my daddy, Lily said proudly. He drives race cars. The other kids looked impressed. One little boy asked, Are you really a race car driver? Lewis knelt down to the boy's level. I am. Do you like cars? I love cars, the boy said. My dad says race car drivers are the coolest people in the world. Lewis laughed. Your dad sounds very smart. They spent an hour at the park. Lewis pushed Lily on the swings and helped her across the monkey bars. He felt like a normal father doing normal things with his daughter. It was the best feeling in the world, but their peaceful afternoon was interrupted when a woman with a camera phone started taking pictures of them. Excuse me, the woman said, walking over to them. Are you Lewis Hamilton? Lewis felt his heart sink. Yes, I am. And is this your daughter? The woman asked, pointing her camera at Lily. Lewis stepped in front of Lily protectively. Please don't take pictures of my daughter. But it was too late. The woman had already taken several photos. She was typing on her phone, probably posting them on social media. We need to go, Maya said quickly, taking Lily's hand. What? Lily asked, confused. We just got here. Lewis picked up Lily and carried her quickly toward the park exit. Maya walked beside them, looking worried. What's wrong? Lily asked. Why is that lady taking pictures? Some people are very interested in your daddy's life, Maya explained carefully. Sometimes they take pictures without asking. Lewis felt Terrible. This was exactly what Maya had been worried about. In less than 5 minutes, their secret was out. By tonight, the whole world would know that Lewis Hamilton had a daughter. They hurried back to Maya's apartment. As soon as they got inside, Lewis's phone started buzzing with calls and text messages. "It's starting," Maya said, looking out the window. There are already reporters on the street. Lewis looked out and saw 3 people with cameras standing outside the building. His phone rang. It was James again. "Lewis," James said as soon as Lewis answered. "What the hell is going on? There are photos of you with a little girl all over the internet. Who is she?" Lewis looked at Lily, who was playing with her toys on the living room floor, unaware that her life was about to change forever. "She's my daughter," Lewis said quietly. There was silence on the other end of the phone. Then James said, "Your daughter?" "Lewis, you don't have a daughter." "I do now," Lewis said. "Her name is Lily. She's 9 years old." 9 years old, James said. "Lewis, this is huge news. We need to control this story. We need to get ahead of it." "I don't want to control anything," Lewis said. "I just want to protect my daughter." "Lewis, listen to me. The media is going crazy. Every news website in the world is running this story. Lewis Hamilton's secret daughter. You need to make a statement." Lewis hung up the phone and sat down next to Lily on the floor. "Daddy, are you okay?" Lily asked, looking up at him with concerned eyes. Lewis forced a smile. "I'm fine, sweetheart. But I have to tell you something." Lily put down her toy and gave him her full attention. "Because your daddy is famous, some people are very interested in our family," Lewis said carefully. "There might be people who want to take pictures of you and ask you questions." Lily looked confused. "Why would they want to take pictures of me?" "Because you're my daughter," Lewis said. "And some people think that makes you special too." I special?" Lily asked. Lewis hugged her tight. "You're the most special person in the whole world. But not because I'm famous. Because you're you." Maya's phone started ringing. Then Lewis's phone rang again. Then Maya's landline. "We can't stay here," Maya said. "There are more reporters outside now." Lewis looked out the window again. There were at least 10 people with cameras now, and more were arriving. "Where can we go?" Lewis asked. Maya thought for a moment. "My friend Sarah has a house in the Hamptons. We could go there for a few days until this dies down." Lewis nodded. "Let's pack some things for Lily." While Maya and Lily packed clothes, Lewis called his security team. Within an hour, they had arranged for a car with tinted windows to pick them up from the building's back entrance. As they snuck out of Maya's apartment, Lewis felt terrible. In less than 24 hours, he had turned his daughter's normal life upside down. The little girl who had been anonymous yesterday was now the subject of international news. "Are we going on an adventure?" Lily asked as they got into the car. "Something like that," Maya said, trying to sound cheerful. Lewis looked out the back window as they drove away. The reporters were still standing outside Maya's building, waiting for them to come back. His phone buzzed with a text message from Tommy. "Just saw the news. You have a daughter? Call me when you can." Then another message from Angela, his trainer. "Lewis, the whole F1 world is talking about this. Are you okay?" And another from his team principal. "We need to talk now." Lewis turned off his phone and looked at Lily, who was looking out the window with excitement. "Where are we going?" she asked. "Somewhere safe," Lewis said. "Somewhere we can be a family without people bothering us." Lily smiled and took his hand. "As long as you're with us, I don't care where we go." Lewis squeezed her small hand and made a promise to himself. No matter what happened with the media, no matter what it cost his career, he was going to protect his daughter. He was going to be the father she deserved. Even if it meant giving up everything else. That Sarah's house in the Hamptons was a beautiful white cottage by the ocean. When they arrived at sunset, Lily ran straight to the beach and started collecting seashells. For a moment, she looked like any normal 9-year-old girl having fun at the beach. But Lewis's phone kept buzzing with calls from reporters, team managers, and sponsors. The story was getting bigger by the hour. Lewis Hamilton's secret daughter revealed screamed the headlines on every sports website. Photos of Lewis, Maya, and Lily at the park were on the front page of newspapers around the world. Maya sat on the porch watching Lily play in the sand. "I'm sorry," she said to Lewis. "I should have been more careful. I should have known someone would recognize you." Lewis sat down next to her. "This isn't your fault. It's mine. I'm the one who chose to live in the spotlight." "But Lily didn't choose this," Maya said sadly. "She just wanted to show her daddy where she plays soccer." Lewis felt terrible. In 2 days, he had completely changed his daughter's life. Yesterday, she was an anonymous kid in New York. Today, she was famous around the world. His phone rang again. This time it was Toto Wolff, his team principal at Mercedes. "Lewis," Toto said when Lewis answered. "We need to talk." "I know," Lewis said. "I'm sorry about missing the meetings." "This isn't about missing meetings," Toto said. "This is about the biggest F1 story of the year. You have a 9-year-old daughter that nobody knew about." Lewis watched Lily building a sandcastle. "Yes, I do." "Lewis, the media is going crazy. They want to know everything. When were you going to tell us? How long have you known? Is this why? You've been different this season." "I just found out 3 days ago," Lewis said honestly. "I'm still trying to figure everything out." Toto was quiet for a moment. "Lewis, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me." "Okay. Are you planning to race in Hungary this weekend?" Lewis looked at Maya, who was listening to his conversation. "I don't know." "You don't know?" Toto said. "Lewis, practice starts tomorrow morning. If you're not there, we'll have to put the reserve driver in your car." Lewis felt torn. He wanted to race. Racing was what he had done his whole life. But he also wanted to protect Lily and Maya from the media storm. "Can I call you back in an hour?" Lewis asked. "You have until midnight," Toto said. "After that, I have to make the decision for you." Lewis hung up and put his head in his hands. "You should go," Maya said quietly. Lewis looked up at her. "What? You should go to Hungary. You should race." "But what about Lily? What about the reporters?" Maya took his hand. "Lewis, you can't solve this problem by hiding. The story is already out there. Whether you race or not, people are still going to be interested in Lily." Lewis watched his daughter playing happily on the beach. "I can't leave her. Not when her life is falling apart." "Her life isn't falling apart," Maya said. "It's just changing. And change isn't always bad." Lewis didn't understand. "How can you say that? Yesterday, she was a normal kid. Today, she's famous around the world." Maya smiled. "Yesterday, she was a little girl who wondered why her daddy never visited her. Today, she knows her daddy loves her and wants to be part of her life." Lewis felt tears in his eyes. "But the media, the attention. We'll figure it out," Maya said. "Together." "But Lewis, you can't give up racing. It's who you are." "No," Lewis said firmly. "Being Lily's father is who I am now." Maya stood up and walked to the porch railing. "Lewis, can I tell you something?" "Of course. When I was pregnant with Lily, I used to watch you race on TV. Even though we weren't together anymore, even though it hurt to see you, I couldn't stop watching." Lewis joined her at the railing. "Why?" "Because I wanted our baby to see her father being amazing at what he does. I wanted her to be proud of you." Lewis felt his heart breaking. "You were protecting her from me, but you still wanted her to be proud of me?" Maya nodded. "I was young and scared and I made mistakes. But I never stopped believing that you were a good man. I never stopped believing that you would be a wonderful father." They stood in silence for a moment, watching Lily play on the beach. "She is proud of you," Maya continued. "Did you see her face when she introduced you to those kids at the park? She was so excited to tell them that her daddy drives race cars." Lewis remembered. Lily had looked so happy when she said, "This is my daddy." "What are you trying to tell me?" Lewis asked. "I'm trying to tell you that being a great race car driver and being a great father aren't opposite things. They're both part of who you are." Lewis's phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Lily's phone. Maya must have given her Lewis's number. The message said, "Daddy, look at my sandcastle." There was a photo attached of an elaborate castle with towers and a moat. Lewis smiled and texted back, "It's beautiful. You're very talented." A minute later, another message came. "Can you help me build a bigger one?" Lewis looked at Maya. "She wants me to build sandcastles with her." "So go build sandcastles," Maya said. "But Lewis, when you're done playing with our daughter, I think you should get on a plane to Hungary." Lewis didn't understand. "Why? I thought you wanted me to stay." Maya turned to face him. "I want you to be happy. And you're not going to be happy if you give up the thing you love most. For us, you and Lily are what I love most now. But racing is still part of you," Maya said. "It always will be. And I don't want Lily to grow up thinking that her daddy gave up his dreams because of her." Lewis saw the wisdom in what Maya was saying, but he was still scared. "What if I go to Hungary and everything falls apart here? What if I can't protect you from the media?" Maya smiled. "Lewis, I'm a heart surgeon. I save children's lives every day. I think I can handle some reporters." Lewis laughed for the first time in days. You're pretty tough, aren't you? I had to be. I raised your daughter by myself for 9 years. They walked down to the beach together. Lily was putting the finishing touches on her sandcastle. Daddy, come see, she called. Louis knelt down next to her in the sand. This is incredible, Lily. You're like an architect. What's an architect? Lily asked. Someone who designs buildings. Louis explained that Lily's eyes lit up. Maybe I can be a doctor and an architect. You can be anything you want to be, Louis said, hugging her. They spent the next hour building an even bigger sandcastle together. Louis forgot about the phone calls, the reporters, the pressure from his team. For 1 hour, he was just a father, playing with his daughter on the beach. When it started getting dark, they went inside for dinner. Sarah had stocked the house with food, and Maya cooked pasta while Louis and Lily set the table. This feels like a real family, Lily said as they sat down to eat. Louis and Maya looked at each other across the table. It did feel like a real family. For the first time in 10 years, Louis felt like he was home. After dinner, Lily fell asleep on the couch watching a movie. Louis carried her to one of the bedrooms and tucked her in. Good night, sweetheart, he whispered. Good night, Daddy, Lily mumbled sleepily. Will you still be here when I wake up? Louis looked at Maya, who was standing in the doorway. I'll always be here for you, he said. Even when I'm not physically here, I'm always with you in your heart. Lily smiled and closed her eyes. Louis and Maya went back to the living room and sat on the couch together. I've been thinking about what you said, Louis told Maya, about racing and being a father. And I think you're right. I can't give up racing, but I also can't live the way I used to live. Maya nodded. What do you mean? Louis took a deep breath. I mean that everything has to change. Where I live, how often I travel, how I spend my time when I'm not racing. Louis, you don't have to change your whole life for us. Yes, I do, Louis said. And I want to. Maya, for the first time in my life, I know what's really important. Louis pulled out his phone and called his assistant. I need you to start looking for apartments in New York, he said. Something big enough for a family. Something with good security. Maya stared at him. Louis, what are you doing? I'm moving. To New York, Louis said. I'm going to race when I have to, but I'm going to live here with you and Lily. But your life is in England. Your friends, your family. My family is here now, Louis said, looking toward the bedroom where Lily was sleeping. My daughter is here, and if you'll let me, I'd like to try again with the woman I never stopped loving. Maya felt tears in her eyes. Louis, I know it. Won't be easy, Louis said. I know we have a lot to figure out. But Maya, I love you. I've always loved you. And I love our daughter more than I ever thought possible. Maya was quiet for a long moment. What about your team? What about racing? I'll race, Louis said. I'll fulfill my contract with Mercedes. But my home will be here, with you and Lily. Maya looked into his eyes. Are you sure? This is a huge decision. Louis nodded. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Maya leaned forward and kissed him softly. It was their first kiss in 10 years, and it felt like coming home. Okay, she whispered. Let's try. Louis felt his heart explode with happiness. Really? Really? But Louis, you have to go to Hungary tomorrow. Louis looked confused. Why? Because you need to show the world that being a father makes you stronger, not weaker. You need to prove that you can have both, a family and a racing career. Louis understood. Maya was right. Running away from Hungary would make it look like he was ashamed of having a daughter. Instead, he needed to embrace his new role as a father and show the world that it made him a better person. Will you come with me? Louis asked. Both of you. Maya looked surprised. To Hungary? To a race? Why not? It's time for the world to meet my family properly. On my terms. Maya thought about it. What about Lily's school? It's summer vacation next week anyway, Louis said. We could make it. A family trip. Maya smiled. She would love that. She's never been to a real race before. Louis stood up and walked to the window. In the distance, he could see lights from photographers and reporters who had found their location. They're not going to leave us alone, he said. Maya joined him at the window. Then we don't hide from them. We show them that we're not afraid. Louis looked at the woman he loved and felt amazed by her strength. 10 years ago, Maya had been scared to live in his spotlight. Now she was ready to face it head-on to protect their daughter. I need to call Toto, Louis said. I need to tell him I'll be in Hungary tomorrow. And I need to book flights for me and Lily, Maya said. Louis took her hand. Are you sure about this? Once we show up at the race together, there's no going back. Everyone will know that we're a family. Maya squeezed his hand. Louis, we are a family. We have been for 9 years. It's time the world knew. Louis kissed her again, then pulled out his phone to call his team principal. Toto, it's Louis. I'll be there tomorrow, but I'm bringing my family with me. As Louis made arrangements for their trip to Hungary, Maya went to check on Lily. Their daughter was sleeping peacefully, unaware that tomorrow her life would change. Again, but this time, both her parents would be there to protect her. This time, they would face the future together. The private jet landed in Budapest at 7 a.m. on Friday morning. Louis looked out the window and saw hundreds of reporters waiting at the airport. News vans, cameras, and photographers filled the tarmac. There are so many people, Lily said, pressing her face against the airplane window. Are they all here to see you, Daddy? Louis felt nervous. They're here to see all of us, sweetheart. Maya squeezed Louis's hand. Are you ready for this? Louis took a deep breath. No, but let's do it anyway. Security guards met them at the plane and escorted them through the airport. Camera flashes went off like fireworks. Reporters shouted questions in different languages. Louis, how long have you known about your daughter? Maya, why did you keep Lily a secret? Lily, what do you think about your famous daddy? Louis walked between Maya and Lily, protecting them from the crowd. Lily held tight to both parents' hands and stayed quiet. She had never seen anything like this before. When they finally reached their car, Lily looked up at Louis with wide eyes. Is it always like this? She asked. Sometimes, Louis said honestly. But don't worry, you'll get used to it. Maya looked worried. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe we should have stayed in New York. No, Louis said firmly. We belong here. We're a family, and families stick together. They drove to the Hungaroring race track outside Budapest. Louis had raced here many times before, but this time felt completely different. This time, he wasn't alone. When they arrived at the Mercedes garage, Louis's entire team was waiting. Mechanics, engineers, his trainer Angela, his team principal Toto. Everyone wanted to meet Lily. So this is the famous Lily, Toto said with a big smile. I've heard so much about you. Lily hid behind Louis's leg. She was shy around all these new people. It's okay, Louis said gently. These are my friends. They help me race. Angela knelt down to Lily's level. Hi, Lily. I'm Angela. I help your daddy stay strong and healthy. Like a doctor? Lily asked. Sort of, Angela said. More like a teacher who helps him exercise. Lily smiled for the first time since they arrived. I like teachers. Louis felt proud as he watched his daughter slowly warm up to his team. These people had been his racing family for years. Now they were meeting his real family. Louis, Toto said quietly, we need to talk about the media situation. Louis nodded. I know. It's crazy out there. The FIA wants you to do a press conference this afternoon, Toto said. They want you to address the situation officially. Louis looked at Maya, who was helping Lily try on a pair of headphones to protect her ears from the loud race cars. What kind of questions will they ask? Louis asked. Everything, Toto said. About Lily, about Maya, about how this affects your racing. You need to be prepared. Louis felt nervous. He had done hundreds of press conferences, but never about his personal life. Never about something this important. I'll do it, Louis said. But I want Maya and Lily to be there with me. Toto looked surprised. Louis, are you sure? Press conferences can be intense. I'm sure, Louis said. If the world wants to know about my family, they should meet my family. That afternoon, the press conference room was packed with reporters from around the world. Louis had never seen so many cameras and microphones in one place. Louis walked to the front of the room with Maya and Lily. Lily was wearing a small Mercedes team shirt and holding Maya's hand tightly. Thank you all for coming, Louis said into the microphone. I know you have a lot of questions, and I'm here to answer them. The first reporter stood up. Louis, when did you find out you had a daughter? Louis looked at Lily, who was sitting quietly next to him. I found out 3 days ago at Silverstone. It was the biggest shock of my life, but also the best surprise I've ever had. Another reporter asked, Maya, why did you keep Lily a secret for 9 years? Maya leaned toward the microphone. I was young and scared. I thought I was protecting my daughter. I realize now that I was wrong, and I'm sorry for that. Lily, a reporter called out, what do you think about having a famous daddy? Lily looked at Louis, who nodded encouragingly. She leaned toward the microphone and said in a small voice, "I think my daddy is the coolest person in the world." The room full of tough reporters smiled. Some of them even laughed. More questions came quickly. "Lewis, will this affect your racing? Are you and Maya getting back together? Will Lily be coming to more races?" Lewis answered each question honestly. Yes, having a daughter would change his life, but it would make him a better person and maybe even a better driver. Yes, he and Maya were working on their relationship. And yes, Lily was welcome at any race she wanted to attend. One last question, the moderator said. "Lewis, some people are saying you might retire early to focus on being a father. Is that true?" Lewis was quiet for a moment. He looked at Lily, who was swinging her legs from her tall chair. He looked at Maya, who was watching him with encouraging eyes. "Racing has been my life for 30 years, Lewis said finally. "But being a father, that's going to be my life for the rest of my life. I'm not retiring, but I am changing. My priorities are different now." After the press conference, they went back to the Mercedes garage. Lewis had to practice for the race, but first he wanted to show Lily around. "This is where I sit when I drive," Lewis said, helping Lily climb into his race car. Lily gripped the steering wheel with both hands. "It's so small. How do you fit in?" "Here." Very carefully. Lewis laughed. Maya took photos of Lily in the race car. "She looks natural in there," Maya said. "Don't give her any ideas," Lewis said with a smile. When it was time for practice, Lewis put on his helmet and fire suit. Lily watched with fascination as her daddy transformed into a race car driver. "You look like a superhero," Lily said. "I feel like one when I'm driving," Lewis said. "But being your daddy makes me feel even more special." Lewis kissed Lily and Maya goodbye, then climbed into his car. As he drove out of the garage onto the track, he could see them watching from the pit wall. For the first time in his racing career, Lewis felt like he was driving for something bigger than himself. He was driving for his family. The practice session went well. Lewis was fast, focused, and happy. Having his family there made him feel stronger, not distracted. After practice, they walked through the paddock together. Other drivers and team members stopped to meet Lily. Everyone was kind and welcoming. "Uncle Lewis," someone called out. It was Lando Norris, a young British driver. "Lando, meet my daughter Lily," Lewis said proudly. Lando knelt down to shake Lily's hand. "Nice to meet you, Lily. Your dad is one of the best drivers in the world." "I know," Lily said seriously. "He's also the best daddy in the world." Lando grinned. "I bet he is." That evening, they had dinner at the hotel with some of Lewis's team. Lily charmed everyone with her questions about racing and her stories about school and soccer. "She's amazing," Angela told Lewis quietly. "She has your personality and Maya's intelligence." "I'm a lucky man," Lewis said, watching Lily teach one of the mechanics how to fold a paper airplane. Later, when Lily was asleep in the hotel bed, Lewis and Maya sat on the balcony looking out at the lights of Budapest. "How do you think today went?" Lewis asked. "Better than I expected," Maya said. "The team loves Lily. The media wasn't as scary as I thought it would be." "And what about us?" Lewis asked. "How do you think we're doing?" Maya smiled. "We're figuring it out, day by day." Lewis took her hand. "Maya, I want to ask you something." "What?" "Tomorrow is the race. It's going to be intense. The whole world will be watching to see how I perform as a new father. What if I don't drive well? What if having you and Lily here makes me nervous and I crash or finish last?" Maya looked into his eyes. "Lewis, do you remember why you started racing?" "Because I loved it. Because it made me feel alive." "And do you still love it?" Lewis thought about his practice session that afternoon. He thought about how good it felt to drive fast while knowing his family was watching and cheering for him. "Yes," he said. "I love it more now than ever." "Then don't worry about the results," Maya said. "Just drive with love. Drive for us." The next morning was race day. Lewis woke up feeling more nervous than he had before any race in years. Not because of the driving, but because he wanted to make Lily proud. "Are you ready, Daddy?" Lily asked, as they got dressed. "I think so," Lewis said. "Are you ready to watch your first Formula One race?" "I've been ready my whole life," Lily said seriously. As they walked to the track, Lewis realized that Maya was right. This wasn't about proving anything to the world. This was about sharing something he loved with the people he loved most. Win or lose, fast or slow, Lewis was exactly where he belonged. With his family, doing what he loved, living the life he had always dreamed of but never thought possible. The race was about to begin, and for the first time in years, Lewis felt truly free. The Hungarian Grand Prix was about to start. Lewis sat in his race car on the starting grid, surrounded by 20 other drivers. But for the first time in his career, he wasn't thinking about winning or losing. He was thinking about the two people watching him from the pit wall. Maya stood behind the safety barrier wearing headphones and a Mercedes team shirt. Next to her, Lily bounced up and down with excitement, also wearing tiny headphones to protect her ears from the loud engines. Lewis looked toward them and gave a small wave. Lily waved back enthusiastically, holding up a sign she had made that morning. It said, "Go, Daddy, go," in colorful crayon letters. 30 seconds to lights out, came the voice in Lewis's helmet radio. Lewis took a deep breath and focused on the track ahead. He was starting in third position behind Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc. It would be a tough race, but Lewis felt ready. 10 seconds, the radio announced. Lewis gripped his steering wheel and watched the red lights appear one by one above the track. 5 red lights. The crowd of 70,000 people fell silent. Then all the lights went out. "And they're racing," shouted the TV commentator. Lewis got a perfect start. He pulled alongside Leclerc into the first corner and managed to pass him for second place. The crowd roared as Lewis moved up to second behind Verstappen. "Great start, Lewis," his race engineer said over the radio. "You're in P2 behind Max." Lewis could feel the adrenaline pumping through his body as he chased Verstappen around the tight, twisting Hungaroring track. This was what he lived for: the speed, the competition, the pure joy of driving a Formula One car at the limit. But this time, it felt different. This time, he could feel his family's love and support giving him extra strength. For 20 laps, Lewis stayed close behind Verstappen, looking for a chance to overtake. The two champions battled wheel to wheel, neither giving an inch. Then, on lap 21, Verstappen made a small mistake coming out of turn 12. Lewis seized the opportunity and pulled alongside the Red Bull car on the main straight. They raced side by side at 180 miles per hour. Lewis was on the inside line going into turn 1. At the last possible moment, he braked later than Verstappen and took the lead. "Yes," Lewis shouted over the radio. "That's what I'm talking about." In the Mercedes pit, Maya and Lily jumped up and down with joy. Lily was screaming so loud that people 3 garages away could hear her. "My daddy is winning," Lily shouted to anyone who would listen. Lewis led the race for the next 30 laps. Every time he passed the main grandstand, he could see his family cheering for him. It made him drive even faster, even better, but with 15 laps to go, Lewis started having problems with his car. The engine was overheating. His tires were wearing out. Verstappen was catching up quickly. "Lewis, we need to manage the car," his engineer said over the radio. "The engine temperature is too high." Lewis looked at his dashboard. All the warning lights were flashing red. He had to slow down or risk his engine failing completely. With 10 laps to go, Verstappen caught up and passed Lewis for the lead. Then Leclerc passed him too. Lewis dropped to third place. "Come on, Lewis," he said to himself. "Don't give up. Drive for them." Lewis could see Maya and Lily watching anxiously from the pit wall. He knew they didn't care if he won or lost. They were just proud to be there with him. With 5 laps to go, Lewis's car started smoking. The engine was in serious trouble. "Lewis, the engine is overheating badly," his engineer said. "We might need to retire the car." Lewis looked at his family again. Lily was holding up her "Go Daddy Go" sign, still cheering even though he was having problems. "No," Lewis said firmly. "I'm not retiring. I'm going to finish this race." Lewis kept driving, even though his car was getting slower and slower. Other drivers passed him. He dropped to 4th place, then 5th, then 6th, but Lewis didn't care about his position anymore. He just wanted to finish the race. He wanted to cross the finish line with his family watching. With 2 laps to go, Lewis was in 8th place. His car was barely running. Smoke was pouring from the engine. "Lewis, please consider retiring the car," his engineer pleaded. "It's not safe." Lewis looked at Lily one more time. She was still cheering, still believing in her daddy. "I'm finishing this race," Lewis said, "for my daughter." On the final lap, Lewis's car was so slow that other drivers were catching up behind him, but he managed to keep going. He crossed the finish line in 10th place. scoring just 1 championship point. It was his worst finish in 2 years. But as Lewis climbed out of his smoking car, he was smiling. Lily ran to him as fast as her little legs could carry her. She jumped into his arms, not caring that he was covered in sweat and motor oil. "Daddy, you did it. You finished the race," she said. "Did I do good?" Lewis asked. "You did amazing," Lily said. "You're my hero." Maya reached them and hugged both Lewis and Lily. "I'm so proud of you," she said. "Not because of where you finished, but because of why you finished." Lewis realized she was right. For the first time in his career, he had driven a race not for himself, but for someone else. He had finished the race because his daughter was watching, and he wanted to show her that you never give up, even when things get difficult. The TV reporters surrounded Lewis as he walked back to the Mercedes garage. "Lewis, that was your worst finish in 2 years," one reporter said. "How do you feel?" Lewis looked at Lily, who was holding his hand and skipping happily beside him. "I feel like the luckiest man in the world," Lewis said. "I just finished a Formula One race with my daughter watching me for the first time. That's worth more than any trophy." "Some people are saying that having a family is making you lose focus on racing," another reporter said. "What do you say to that?" Lewis stopped, walking and looked directly into the camera. "I want to say something to everyone watching," Lewis said. 3 days ago, I found out I had a 9-year-old daughter. It was the most shocking and wonderful moment of my life." He paused and looked at Maya and Lily. "Some people think that being a father will make me a worse driver. I think they're wrong. Having a family doesn't make you weaker. It makes you stronger. It gives you something bigger than yourself to fight for." Lewis knelt down so he was at Lily's eye level. "Lily, I want you to know something. Yes, I'm a race car driver, but being your daddy is the most important job I'll ever have." Lily hugged him tight. "I love you, Daddy. I love you too, sweetheart." Lewis stood up and faced the cameras again. "I have an announcement to make," he said. Maya looked surprised. They hadn't discussed any announcement. "I'm not retiring from Formula One," Lewis continued. "I'm going to keep racing, but I'm also going to be the best father I can be." Lewis looked at Maya and took her hand. "I'm moving to New York to be close to my family. I'll race on weekends and be a full-time father during the week. Some people might think that's crazy. Some people might think I should choose between racing and family." Lewis smiled his biggest smile. "But I don't think you should have to choose between the things you love. I love racing and I love my family, so I'm going to do both." The reporters looked shocked. No F1 driver had ever announced that they were restructuring their entire life around their family while still competing at the highest level. "How will you make that work?" a reporter asked. "I'll figure it out," Lewis said. "Maya and I will figure it out together. Because that's what families do. They solve problems together." Maya was crying happy tears. "Lewis, are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything in my life," Lewis said. That evening, they had dinner at a quiet restaurant in Budapest. Lily was exhausted from her first race day and fell asleep in her chair. "I can't believe you announced that without talking to me first," Maya said, but she was smiling. "I'm sorry," Lewis said, "but when I saw Lily cheering for me today, even when I was doing badly, I realized something." "What?" "I realized that success isn't about winning races or breaking records. Success is about being loved by people who matter." Maya reached across the table and took his hand. "Lewis, are you really ready to change your whole life for us?" Lewis looked at their sleeping daughter. "Maya, 10 years ago, I lost you because I wasn't ready to put our relationship first. I'm not making that mistake again. But what if it doesn't work? What if trying to be both a racer and a father is too hard?" Lewis smiled. "Then we'll figure something else out. But we'll figure it out together." 3 months later, Lewis was living in a beautiful apartment in Manhattan, just 10 blocks from Maya's practice and 5 blocks from Lily's school. He raced every other weekend during the Formula One season, but the rest of his time was spent being a father that he walked Lily to school every morning when he was in town. He helped her with homework every night. He went to her soccer games and piano recitals. He was becoming the father he had always wanted to be. And surprisingly, his racing got better, not worse. Having something more important than racing in his life made him calmer and more focused when he did race. He won 3 more races that season and finished second in the championship. Most importantly, he was happy, truly happy, for the first time in years. On a cold December evening, Lewis was helping Lily build a snowman in Central Park while Maya watched from a bench. "Daddy," Lily said as they rolled a big snowball, "are you happy you found me?" Lewis stopped and looked at his daughter. Her cheeks were red from the cold, and snow was stuck in her curly hair. "Lily, finding you and your mommy was the best thing that ever happened to me. Even better than winning races." Lewis picked her up and spun her around. "Even better than winning every race in the world." Lily giggled and hugged him tight. "I love you, Daddy. I love you too, sweetheart. Forever and always." As Lewis carried his daughter back to Maya, he realized that the reporters had been wrong. Having a family hadn't made him lose focus on racing. It had given him something much more valuable. It had given him a reason to race, a reason to be better, and a reason to believe that sometimes the most stunning victories happen off the track. Lewis Hamilton had found his family, and in doing so, he had found himself. And that was the end of our story about Lewis Hamilton discovering he had a daughter and choosing love over everything else. Sometimes the greatest victories in life happen when we're not even competing. We'd love to know where you're listening from. Drop a comment below and tell us your city or country. If you enjoyed this emotional journey, please hit that like button. It really helps us create more inspiring stories like this one. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss our latest videos filled with hope, heart, and amazing tales. Most importantly, share this video with your friends and family. In a world that can sometimes feel divided, stories like Lewis and Maya's remind us that love, forgiveness, and second chances can heal even the deepest wounds. Let's spread that kindness and awareness together. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next story.